Peace, folks. Maurice here with Friends of the Congo. We may be joined by one of our other team members in a minute, but we're going to address a range of issues today. We won't be able to get to all of them because there's so much activity unfolding, a flurry of activities in the Congo itself, in the region, and coming out of Europe as well. So we'll start with the big news. Well, all of them are big, in that the European Union has sanctioned a number of top level officials within the Rwandan government, Rwandan military, M23, which was expected. We're hearing rumblings late last week that sanctions will be coming against Rwanda in particular. And as a result of, the even before the sanctions came down from the European Union, we saw that Paul Kagame, president of Rwanda, so engaged in a heated exchange, I guess you can say, with the Belgian government, to the point where this morning the Rwandan government has broken off diplomatic relations with the Belgian government. Call for the withdrawal of its ambassador, immediate withdrawal of its ambassador. And the letter that the Rwandan government wrote to Belgium was particularly interesting because it ran down a laundry list of complaints or contentions or charges against the Belgian government going all the way back to colonialism. And I say it's interesting because Belgium has been particularly supportive of the Rwandan government and Paul Kagame. So there obviously is a falling out between the two. And it's important, I think, for us to contextualize what is happening in the sense that what we see with this 30-year war of aggression and plunder against the Congolese people by the Rwandan government in particular and the Ugandan government as well is so important for us to remember that we're talking about the events are unfolding, what we see unfolding in the heart of the African continent, unfolding in the context of a colonial legacy and a neo-colonial environment. So what does that mean? That means that the structural forces, right, that have Congo destabilized, the people impoverished, state and a nation dependent, and leadership that serves its own personal interests at the expense of the masses of Congolese. These structural features are a product of the colonial legacy, and they're certainly representative of a neo-colonial environment, even if Rwanda wasn't in the picture. So so we have to keep our eye on that and reinforce the point that what we see unfolding is unfolding in this system of capitalism, this system of imperialism, and those structural forces that are at play have been at play since the modern founding of the Congo 140 years ago. So now, where the likes of Paul Kagame and Yoweri Museveni, Paul Kagame, leader of Rwanda, Yoweri Museveni, leader of Uganda, come in, is that they've come in to pile on, right? They haven't come in to disrupt the colonial legacy. They haven't come in to overturn the neo-colonial environment. They're not, like Ahmed Sekou Touré of Guinea in the 1960s, late 50s, 60s. They're not like Kwame Nkrumah or Modibo Keita, where they embraced Congo and saw Congo as central to the survival, to the future of the African continent. So Museveni and Kagame have come in cahoots with the imperialists, in cahoots with the uh, the neocolonialists, right? They are a part of the ravaging of the Congo, and they're ravaging the Congo at the service, right, of Western powers, at the service of the neocolonialists, right? So it is so vital for us to keep that in mind. So when Kagame falls out with Belgium, right, he's falling out with uh, a partner in the plunder of the ally that's been supportive of this 30-year war of aggression and plunder. We understand that, and we say, what can we do as people living in the Western world to help? Well, first is having a clear understanding of what's unfolding, right? It's vital for us to be informed, to be clear about what's happening, because this war against the Congolese people is not solely unfolding in the Congo, but it's also unfolding on the international level, because it's a battle of narratives as well. Kagame has to justify his invasion and occupation of the Congo and killing and creating an environment where I think 7,000 people have been killed, women are being raped and burnt alive. So, so he's going to develop straw man arguments. He's going to come up with rationales, casus belli, that are not consistent with the reality or the truth, but only serve to justify his killing of other Africans. So Rwanda and Uganda have killed Africans for 30 years, and almost 30 years. This is the deadliest conflict in the world since World War II, right? What's happening in the Congo? Estimated 6 million people have perished from 1996 to the present, right? So understanding what is the forces that are at work, the structural and the systemic forces, the narrative is key, because it is from that understanding that where the questioner asks, that will inform what we do and how we respond. Right? So you'll often hear Paul Kagame say, "Well, we didn't cause the problems in the Congo." Of course, you didn't. You weren't at the origin of the problems in the Congo. But what you've done is you pile on. You've exacerbated the challenges in the Congo. You haven't come to the support of the Congolese people. You haven't come in the interest of Africans, because what's happening in the Congo is not just a Congo issue, but it's an African issue. And we have our sister Camille. She's going to unmute and join us. Good to see you.
Hello, everybody. Happy to be here.
Yes. So we just got started, Camille, talking about the flurry of diplomatic activities today. And in moments like these where there's just news coming out just about every hour, and it's like dizzying, we feel like it's important to balance, to reset folks and share with them, the structural factors that are at play, the systemic factors that are at play, that will help to understand all of this movement that's taking place, where Rwanda is saying that breaking off diplomatic relations with Belgium, castigating them for the role in colonialism. It's kind of funny that Paul Kagame hasn't been doing that. He hasn't been coming out and saying, oh, Belgium, you're a colonial, you're a only a predator. You've been that way. You're involved you're part of the reason for the genocide in Rwanda. He hasn't been saying that, but it's convenient for him to say it now, which may be, a sign of, of the shoot. We'll see. Maybe too early to tell. But when an agent falls out with his backers, as Kagame is falling out with one of his backers, Belgium, it's usually a sign that they're getting ready to let him go, right? To run diplomatic interference for him, not to run political interference for him, anymore. So we'll see. We'll see how it all unfolds. But make no mistake about it, Kagame is not an anti-imperialist. He's not a Pan-Africanist. His railing against Belgium right now is reactionary because he wasn't railing against Belgium, yesterday. He's railing against Belgium today, based on the corner that he's in. Because if we look at it, one thing we're clear about, just about the entire world is saying to Paul Kagame and the Rwandan government and the Rwandan military, get out of the Congo. That's what they're saying. The UN Security Council had a meeting maybe 10 days or so ago, and it was unanimous, Camille, 15-0, right? Vote at the UN Security Council. Palestinians didn't even get this level of unanimity, right? So you have the UN Security Council 15-0 in Resolution 2773. Look it up. Resolution 2773, 15-0. And they said that Rwandan soldiers must leave the Congo immediately. That's a direct quote. Immediately. This is the world. This is world leaders. China, Russia, US, Great Britain, right? France. All of them are unified on one key thing. Rwandan soldiers must leave the Congo, right? And if we look at Paul Kagame's allies, the US, UK, and them, their intelligence services, they said there are anywhere from 47,000 Rwandan soldiers in the Congo. Right? So it's not even a question of entertaining the arguments that Rwanda is making about whether or not, it's not in dispute, right? You don't have a 15-0 United Nations Security Council unanimous vote for something that's not true, that's not happening. So they said Rwanda must immediately withdraw its soldiers. Just a few days ago, the group of 7 nations, G7, the so-called G7, they said the same thing. They reiterated it. They had said it weeks ago, and they said Rwandan soldiers must immediately withdraw from Congolese soil, right? From the territory that it's occupying. And Rwandan soldiers are occupying Congolese territory, and they're in command and control of the militia group M23, right? So this is a Rwandan operation, and the entire world is clear about it, right?
Yeah. Although I think that the decision makers are clear about it. I don't know that the general population
absolutely
is aware.
Thanks for the clarification. Yeah, the
and
global elites, the world leaders.
Elites, the people who are invested, who have financial investments or political investments in Congo one way or the other, are very aware of what's happening. But the discourse amongst people is still very we don't know, right? I think we have a question about what is the kind of propaganda that's perpetuated. And I can speak a little bit about this because I was in a meeting with Dr. Theogen Rudisingwa, who used to be Kagame's ambassador to the US and also chief of staff, I believe. And the meeting was very informative. And yeah, I mean, he talked about how some of the, that essentially what's happening in Rwanda right now is that it's a police state, right? And then people don't really have freedom of speech, quote unquote, right? And and part of the messaging that Kagame has with the protection of the Tutsis in Congo is it's like also it's hurting both people in Rwanda and people outside of Rwanda, the messaging, right? Because it's also pushing this anti-Tutsi agenda in the eastern region, right? Like there's like not agenda, anti-Tutsi narrative in the region where there wasn't necessarily hate. There's now some resentment because of the bloodshed, because of the death and the ongoing conflicts and all of those things. Some other propaganda that's being perpetrated. I mean, actually, like speaking about that right now, like even right or today, there's a demonstration at the DRC embassy
in Washington.
In Washington D.C. at the demonstration at the Democratic Republic embassy about people led by Rwandese asking us to stop killing Tutsis, but that was never like that isn't what the war is about, right? So it's like there's this huge ethnic narrative that's being pushed to not really analyze the minerals of it all, like the underlying reasons and the wealth that's being plundered. And I lost a little bit my train of thought.
No, so with that narrative that that Kagame is pushing, that propaganda, you haven't listening to Ruda Sengwa, who was on the inside from the beginning. What is he saying about it? What is he saying? Are the Rwandan population buying it, or what's his assessment?
So his assessment was that the Rwandan people cannot say anything about it. There is just no discussion that can happen about it. If you are not actively pro Kagame, then you better keep quiet. Otherwise, you'll be disappeared the next day or the same night. They will come for you in whichever way, shape, or form they come for people. So, and like I didn't ask this question, but then it got me thinking that it's like, yeah, if the Rwandese people within Rwanda cannot speak about this, like what about the diaspora, right? And I think that that's sort of what he's doing, right? Like as a Rwandan living outside, exiled actually, because he can't go back. And yeah, actually,
go ahead.
But something that he pointed out too was that, it's like the Rwandan RPF, Rwandan Patriotic Front, like started as like this like liberation movement, but all of the higher ups that began with Kagame are no longer there. James Kabarebe is the only one who's left, and when they started, was like many ranks below. He was like I don't remember.
Kid. He was a kid.
But like essentially, like he wasn't an equal. But like all the people who started with Kagame are no longer there. So then that also like says something about the movement and how it's changed. Like, and even if before it was about liberation, at this point it's very much about like power and consolidating power and yeah, and all of those. And he also talked about, he talked about many things. It was a 1 hour long, almost 2 hours actually, about how like even when you look at like Kigali, there's a lot of like quote unquote progress. There's the big skyscraper, the skyline is changing. But when you like analyze it deeper and look at who is owning any of those things, and you'll see that it's a very small group of elites that are very close to Kagame who own all of those buildings. So yeah, he was very what's the word? He said that like essentially that we need to pay attention to what's happening. That's a warning sign that like what's happening in Rwanda right now is also dangerous. Like need to be pay attention.
Yeah. And really not just for Rwanda, right? Obviously, it's the danger in the Congo is is evident, right? It's been dangerous for Congolese for 3 decades, right? And that's only because of Kagame himself, but also because of the backing that he's received, right? So it's kind of, when he said dangerous, it reminded me of John Legend's statement. He used a particular word that he said he didn't want to when he was rationalizing,
Oh, when he said he didn't want to like penalize the Rwandese people because
yeah,
he
he didn't
didn't
want to
agree.
punish the
Yeah,
Rwandese people by
because he
not
didn't
going,
agree.
right?
Yeah.
So I immediately thought to myself, well, what do you call what's been happening to the Congolese people?
Mm-hmm.
And aren't you co-signing the punishment of Congolese people by functioning as a cover, where, unwitting or wittingly or unwittingly, for,
Mm-hmm.
for the crimes that Kagame is committing,
Yeah.
in the Congo.
Mm-hmm.
So when people talk about punishment and suffering, I mean, it's happening right now, and I think that's been part of the problem. Part of the problem is that, people ask, what can you do? Is like, one is, don't normalize the suffering that's taking place in the Congo.
Mm-hmm.
It is not normal for
It's not.
150 women to be raped and burnt alive.
Mm-hmm.
It is not normal for hundreds of thousands of women to be raped as a strategy of war.
Yeah.
So
And
whatever you got to do, whatever noise you got to make, whatever, we have 5 actions that you can take. We tweet them, or not tweet, but we share them every day. The world cannot normalize what's happening to one segment of the human family in the heart of the African continent. So
mm-hmm.
that's like a ideal point of departure in
Yeah.
taking action.
No, for sure. And like a little bit more about the John Legend, like it was very, I mean, not just John Legend, actually, let's make it bigger. Like music has been used as a tool of distraction, while like, jazz has been used, like music has been used as a tool of distracting while atrocious things are happening. And
Mm-hmm.
John Legend was and his concert in Kigali was just the most recent permutation of that. And actually, like, there's sort of another permutation of that right now with the concert in Paris. Like Maître Gims and other Congolese
Mm-hmm.
artists are organizing a solidarity concert in Paris April 7th. And there was push from the Rwandese diaspora, and there continues to be push actually from the Rwandese diaspora to cancel the event or reschedule the event because of the date.
Right. It's falling near the anniversary of the genocide in Rwanda. It's
Mm-hmm.
April 6th, and I think they commemorate April 7th.
Yeah.
Which I mean, if Congolese can organize any day of the year that they choose, why would Rwandans take offense even if they were to organize it on April 6th?
Yeah.
Right? What is the so it's just bizarre.
But yeah, it's like it goes back to like, like and I think there's a comment about that, how like the diaspora is also participating in the propaganda, right? Like even though like they are potentially
Right.
like more well placed to be speaking out because they aren't under the like heavy control of the regime, they are not necessarily like, and they are also, like brainwashed and like believe um some of the messages. And
Well, I mean, yeah, it's not certainly that's part of it, but make no mistake about it, right? The fact that Kagame is in bed with the intelligence services in the West, right?
mm-hmm.
It gives him latitude
Mm-hmm.
to pursue dissidents
Mm-hmm.
globally,
Yeah,
right?
for
So Patrick Carriega, for example, was assassinated. He left, Rudisengo was talking about people leaving Kagame,
sure.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Carriega left Kagame and he was assassinated in South Africa,
Mm-hmm.
right? The Federal Bureau of Investigation and the intelligence service in Belgium and in the UK warn diaspora Rwandese, often say, hey, Kagame's sending a squad after you. And it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting that they warn them, so they know that Kagame's sending, so they don't take any action against them, right? Uh, Paul Rusesabagina is a classic case, right? He's the real life hero of Hotel Rwanda, played by Don Cheadle in the Hollywood movie, right? And he's in Dubai, thinking he's going to fly to Burundi, and Kagame kidnaps him, right? Brings him to Rwanda and tries him, for terrorism and in Rwandan courts and tortures him,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so he's breaking international law, capturing somebody, and Rusesabagina is a U.S. resident, right, and a Belgian citizen. You know, so he was renditioned by Kagame. So, but what that it's not just about Rusesabagina though. What Kagame is saying to other dissidents, people who, and to be a dissident means that you just don't agree with Kagame, right, and his
I mean,
narrative.
like Belgium
Right?
is
So
next
we're talking about people outside of Rwanda, right? So
yeah.
if he can go and capture somebody, you know, not that I'm digging up this, but Rusesabagina, he won the Presidential Medal of Honor, right? He's sitting, you know, with U.S. presidents, right? A renowned figure throughout the world. So Kagame is saying, I'm going to come and get you, bring you back, and put you in my jail, right? So that's not just about Rusesabagina. That's about anybody else who want to raise their voice. So, because he's saying to them, he's signaling, he's saying, if I can get Rusesabagina, you know, who cavorts with presidents, right, in the most powerful countries in the world, and who's a citizen of these countries, I can get you, the average person, you know, who a professor or, you know, an activist who may want to speak up and dissent about what's happening in Rwanda. So he's sending a signal. And so the terror is not just within Rwanda itself, but he lets people know, he's very clear that I can get you, right, wherever you are. And it's not just to the dissidents. Like, I remember Kikwete, the former president of Tanzania, was getting involved in the Congo and confronting Kagame's soldiers in the Congo. And Kagame's like, I'll hit you. You know? That's what he said to Kikwete, I will hit you. So when Kagame, so he's been able to function like this because he's just got strong backing, like from Belgium, from France, from the UK, you know, from the United States. They're not going to put any obstacle in his way. But now, because of global pressure and because of the people have had enough of his crimes in the Congo, and people are putting pressure on the Belgian government, the Congolese diaspora is out in force. Letters are being written. Media finally picking up and seeing Kagame for the war crimes that he's committed in the Congo and putting pressure that, you know, these nations are responding, you know. So it's within that context that they're responding, because otherwise they wouldn't, you know, they would just continue to support him, and they're still continuing to support him.
And they still, because it's like,
and they're complicit.
Yeah, they're complicit. Something that you said that made me think of this, something that Dr. Theogen said, was that, like, Kagame often told him that the Western media is fickle. You know, it's that, like, oh, if they follow for 6 months, if they follow it for 1 month, then like let a month pass and then they won't be following it anymore. You know, so then it's like, there is now like attention on Congo, global attention and all of that, and let's hope that it's sustained.
Somebody asked, what can they do? And that's what you can do: work to keep Congo, the Congo issue, not just keep Congo the issue, but the narrative that Congolese people are sharing in the news. Provide platforms, reach out to your local media, encourage them to cover the issue, invite speakers into your communities to share what's going on, provide updates. Reach out to students on campuses that are organizing. So just, you know, go to freecongo.org. We have a list of actions that people can take, whether you're in the US, whether you're in New Zealand, Australia, Chile, wherever you are in the world. There's something that you can do. And freecongo.org is a destination for you to go in order to take action or get involved or join the movement. This question about Allah Akbar, committing horrendous, I'm not sure. You know, I saw there was a this, I forget his name, the gentleman on Twitter who's followed widely. I'll pull up his name. He just interviewed Kagame in Rwanda, and he's talking about a group, the Allied Democratic Forces in the east of the Congo. They are a Ugandan dissident group, right? Rebellious Rwandan rebel group, and they've been connected to Islam, and apparently they killed a number of Christians. Right? So the way it was reported by this gentleman who got to interview Paul Kagame was that they're killing Christians in the Congo, right? And it was so disingenuous, like Congo's 95%.
Yeah, it's like everybody out there is
You know what
Christian.
I'm saying?
Like,
So to present the picture like Christians are being persecuted,
it's
like
like everybody and their mom is very Christian.
the whole country's being persecuted, right? So, but people who don't know about the Congo and listen
Yeah.
to this guy may think, oh, Christians are being persecuted in the Congo. That's why part of the reason why this question came out. Can you explain why they're incorporating Islam? And Islam is not being incorporated. It's not. There's Muslim community in the Congo, just like this Christian community, but it's the small percentage of Congolese. So that religious tension, Muslim Christian, that's not a factor, in the Congo. I'll get that gentleman's name up for people to share it. And maybe not. You don't need to. He doesn't need to follow him. But so just to continue some of the events unfolding today, Camille, you were talking about the Duchess. I was asking you about the Duchess. I wanted to know more about that.
Oh,
What was going on?
Yes.
So we can.
Yes, we keep speaking on top of each other. But so the UN CSW Forum for what does it stand for? Commission on Status of Women. It was happening and it's like still happening right now. And one meeting was a closed door meeting with Duchess Edinburgh and a few Congolese women who are like both like organizations in Goma and in Kinshasa. And they were just like the talk was focused on humanitarian needs and specifically with what's it called, with gender violence and sexual violence. There was also talk about including women in peace talks, or like that was a demand that because the Duchess had asked if the Congolese, and like most of it was updates. She wanted to have like an on the ground update. And then the second part of the conversation was just asking for messages that she could pass on to other folks because she can't quite deal with politics. I don't know how the royal family works, but it seems like her work is like strictly humanitarian and she can't really deal with political, which is like, for me is interesting because if you're doing sexual violence, like it has become political in Congo, right? Like it's like rape is used as a systematic tool in the war. So it's interesting to be working in that without addressing I don't know. It's something interesting there for me.
Even as a Congolese woman, does it strike a
like as a Congolese woman, it's like there's some type of dissonance, right? Because it's like if you are only addressing the humanitarian, then you're not really addressing the source, right? So you're just like fixing the symptom and not the
root.
Yeah. But like I also understand that royal families, like they have their own systems. I don't know.
They have their own history too.
They have
they're part of that colonial legacy. So that's something, and they're all connected. The royal family in England is the family in Belgium. With King Leopold and his lineage. And so speaking of that, we stated earlier that the European Union had sanctioned top level officials in the Rwandan military, including also Rwandan civilian society. I can run down a list the officials, both Rwanda and M23, which is particularly noteworthy. They've sanctioned top generals or top military officials, the Rwandan mining board and its CEO, members of the M23. So
yeah, I also saw that there's a gold mine that was sanctioned, right?
That's what the mining board. I don't know if I think there's a mine as well.
Yeah, I thought that was
So
interesting.
basically, go ahead. Yes.
I mean, because at least in 2023, or was it 2022? Like half of Rwanda's exports was gold. So I thought it was interesting, and probably not gold from Rwanda.
Right. I think the last account, their annual export is like $1.2 billion in gold.
So yeah, it was interesting to me that they, or like in a good way, that they had a sanction on that mine. But I'm also just curious in like what that means for the day-to-day operations of the mine.
Well, usually when you're sanctioned like that, it cuts off your ability to interact with the financial system, right? Your flag. I know one of the demands on the part of the Congolese government was to, I don't want to say, put an embargo, let's say, on minerals coming out of Rwanda, because those are illicit. They're trading in illicit minerals that they get from the Congo. So I guess in putting what they call the Gasabo gold refinery on the list, they're saying that, well, you're not able to sell, at least not in euros, anyways, to the global market. And your European companies will be prohibited from having transactions with that. So I see that as responding to one of the demands coming out of the Congolese government. For Foreign Minister Wagner, Kaikwamba Wagner, had laid out a number of demands at the UN. But also we will just have to quickly add and remind people that this is happening in the context of allies falling out, right? Rwanda's allies. What we've been saying to the activists and others have been saying to European nations and the US, listen, you've been rewarding Kagame. You've been complicit with Kagame. You've been a part of the plunder, and basically stop. Basically stop. So Europe they're not the good guys in this.
Yeah.
Remember, we're talking about that colonial legacy, neocolonialism, and make no mistake about it. Congo and Congo's riches, right, are vital to the future, the energy future of Europe.
Yeah.
So, and what Europe has shown us and the West is that they are willing to get it by any means necessary.
I mean,
go ahead.
I think yesterday I was I was the part of the moderating the soundtrack to coup d'etat event, and then Jonas, the director, was saying that, I mean, Congolese resources were critical in reconstruction post World War II, right? It's like Congolese minerals have been critical to the development of the West since it's like they called it like a mineral crisis just because there was so much. I forget exactly what he said, but it was just, yeah, it's like it's necessary for the green transition. It's necessary, like it's just been necessary for the word, the involvement, evolvement. Is that a word?
Yeah, that's so right. Some of you may remember the series called The Africans, right, by Ali Mazrui. Ali Mazrui, in fact, he has a book, well-known African scholar. And he made a point. He said he was talking about the significance of Congo's minerals to NATO, right? And he said if Congo was to cut off the cobalt coming out of the Congo to Europe, it would ground the NATO flotilla, right? So is that vital to the military industry, right? And we see it. We see examples of it even right now today, where Congo has shut down the export of cobalt, right? And cobalt prices just shut up, right? So they're just a range of examples how vital Congo's resources are to Europe and to the West, and the European powers have you know gone after those minerals, as I said, by any means necessary. So if it we have to remember, you watched soundtrack to a coup d'état, right? With and had a post film discussion this weekend in New York. Remember that when Congo's one of Congo's independence hero and his first democratically elected prime minister, Patrice Lumumba, got in power and said, all of this wealth we want to use for the benefit of Congolese in particular and Africa in general. What was the response from the West? The United States mounted the largest covert action in the world.
Yeah,
not
CIA,
the largest covert
MI6,
action in
Belgian
Africa.
intelligence forces, they were all there.
The largest covert action in the
Yeah.
world to overthrow this guy who says, this leader, African leader, who says, I want these resources.
Yeah. And then he wasn't even like, I only want them for me. It's like, I want them for the Congolese people first, and then we will collaborate. You know, it's
yeah. So it wasn't like a extremely radical position. It was like a sensible position. Like if our people sit on top of these riches, we ought to be the first beneficiaries, right? And just the very utterance and positioning of that triggered the largest covert action in the world, where the U.S. president said that we need to liquidate him, right? Eisenhower said, we need to get rid of him.
And that to me is just like and Johan says it so well, it's just very schizophrenic, right? Because it's like in the America at the time, like Black people is essentially Jim Crow, right? And then in Congo, you have a quote unquote free place, but then the people in power don't really want it to be free. They just want the it's like they would rather the people dead so that they can just take all the resources. So they then send envoys to I don't know, to kill this revolutionary leader because he wants the Congolese people to benefit from the resources, and the Congolese people have yet to benefit from the wealth of resources.
And it's and the chief of station of the CIA, Larry Devlin, he wrote a book with that same title, Chief of Station Congo. He said, right, and Africans should really listen to this, what Larry Devlin said. He said that we had to overthrow Lumumba, right? Because if we didn't overthrow Lumumba, right, not only would we have lost the Congo, we'd have lost all of Africa. So the enemies of Africa see Congo, a destabilized Congo, a weakened Congo, as central to controlling the African continent, to controlling the destiny of the African continent. That's why we say to young Africans, this isn't just a question of Rwanda and Congo. What's happening in the Congo is not just a Congolese question. It's an African question. And if you even take it to the level of Che Guevara, he said Congo's problem is a worldwide problem, right? So it's so vital that we have that broad view, that it's not just what's happening in the Congo and it's the affair of the Congolese people. No, as you said, the United Nations, Great Britain, Belgium, France, all of them were in cahoots against the Congolese people, the person that the Congolese people freely chose to represent. Right? And what soundtrack to a coup d'etat should say to everybody is like, those forces are still at play.
Yeah, it's the same forces, different names, but same forces.
So really, Kagame is a small fry in this game of control of Congo's riches. Just they had Mobutu, who was their guy. They used Kagame and Museveni to get rid of Mobutu, right? It was Kagame and Museveni who overthrew Mobutu. And so they can, just as they got rid of Mobutu, they can just leave Kagame out to dry as well and find the next. And it appears that the current president of the Congo is willing to say like, "Hey, come and come and get your riches," right? To save his skin because he's feeling pressure from his people, right? Because they're saying that he's not competent. He's driven the country, run the country. He's driven the country to this to the point that it is. So Kagame certainly is an issue, but they're also saying that listen, the political class in Kinshasa is a part of the problem as well. That's what they're saying in the streets in Kinshasa. One thing you know about Kinshasa, when the average person coming from a football game start chanting and singing against the leadership, then you know there's a critical mass of discontent that's building up among the Quinoa, building up among the people, and there is discontent with the political leadership in the Congo and how they've dealt with this affair of the capture of the east of the Congo. Go ahead, Camille.
I don't know that I have anything to add.
Oh no, you.
No, I just had to excuse myself for a little
Oh,
bit.
okay. Yeah, so I'm just sharing that the level of discontent that we see bubbling up in Kinshasa against the political class, right? Seeing that, I saw somebody put a chart up the other day. I don't know how true it is, but uh, they had a bar chart of income for political leaders, right, in on the continent. I don't know
Yeah,
if you saw
and
that.
that's why you'll hear me say I'm waging a class war because the elites in Congo are so rich and make so much money, and it's unacceptable. I mean, like some of them have like personal lobby firms that they pay $75,000 per month. This is a
Mm,
like this is an individual who like has lobbying firms here in the
mm,
U.S. that they pay $75,000 per month to do their lobbying for the minerals or whatever it is that they need.
mm.
Like
It's insane.
it's insane. The wealth
Yeah,
discrepancy is insane.
yeah.
It's
So they benefit from the status quo. They're political leaders. More
yeah.
Congolese are dying. More women are being raped. More people are being impoverished. Right. More people are being displaced. But they get paid the same and get uh, a salary increase. So with what's commensurate with the salary increase is or they get the salary increase and
I didn't
more
know about
Congolese
the
people
salary
die.
increase.
All right, what is that?
I said I didn't know about the salary
Yeah,
increase.
they since the first term, just getting in 2018 or 2019 to 2023. So
Mm.
apparently I think the MPs were making 20,000 a month, and apparently that's gone up, right? So they benefit from the status quo. So the situation is just ripe, right, for a massive uprising of because of the discontent that we see among the population. It's certainly worth watching to see how that unfolds. But just to coming to the end, just to recap a little bit for folks, we've seen that the European Union has issued sanctions against Rwanda, top officials, and even as you said, one of the mines, M23. Rwanda has lashed out at Belgium and breaking off diplomatic ties with them. We've seen the G7 coming out and saying that Rwandan soldiers must get out of the Congo. The United Nations and unanimous decision 15-0 resolution 2773 said Rwandan soldiers must get out immediately. We've seen Canada suspend aid, the United Kingdom suspend aid, France said they're suspending talks. We've seen a flurry of diplomatic activities, and
Yeah.
the pressure needs to be kept on. I saw an interesting.
But like they're
You know,
also like still sending weapons. It's like they're saying no to the aid. But actually, let me find the specific article. But like I was reading about how like even just like a couple like recently the EU approved for more for more weapons.
More aid. Okay, as you look that up, I wanted to also mention it's an interesting piece by Dr. Denis Mukwege, the Nobel Peace Prize laureate from the Congo. He issued a statement today calling for an international conference on the Congo. He's saying that the talks that were being scheduled in Luanda with the Angolan president and João Lourenço, they're saying they're finally bringing the president of the Congo and his team to talk with the M23, and that's supposed to happen tomorrow in Luanda, in Angola. And
did you see
Dr. Go ahead.
I can't find the article right now, so we're going to scratch that because I don't want to have fake news. But did you see the RDF, they don't want to negotiate anymore? M23, sorry, they don't want to.
Yeah, so yeah, they were saying so that was going to happen tomorrow, right? As you said in that talks. Now remember, the Congolese government was saying from day one that M23 is a terrorist group. We'll never negotiate with them, right? We want to negotiate with Rwanda, but not with the M23. And I think from the African nations, particularly the East African community, Southern African Development Community, putting pressure on Kinshasa to talk to the M23. So, they conceded. They were going to talk tomorrow in Luanda under the auspices of, João Lourenço, who's been designated by the African Union to shepherd the Luanda Accords, as they call it. So, as they're going to talk tomorrow, and they're preparing to talk, European Union come with the sanctions. So against the M23 and the Congo River Alliance, and they responded. That's why I say it was a dizzying day of news, and saying that they're withdrawing from the talks. They say, if Europe is going to criminalize us and sanction us, we're not going to go talk, right? And they also said that the Congolese government has broken the ceasefire, which is, in any case, but so the talks are not going to happen tomorrow if what we saw coming out in the news today. Now, Dr. Denis Mukwege was saying that the talks shouldn't be happening between the Congolese government and the M23 anyways. He's saying this is an international issue. There needs to be an international conference on the Congo, bringing all the players to the table, because the international community is complicit in what's happening. And if just the M23 and the Congolese government talk, that won't get to the root of the matter. Now he's done. Denis Mukwege, he's in the opposition. He ran for the presidency in 2023. But you also have other opposition figures like Martin Fayulu and Moise Katumbi, and they were in support of the talks. We see that the Catholic Church has been very much engaged in visiting everybody under the sun to try and bring together people. They went to Rwanda, they went to Europe, they went to Angola. They just traveled the collection of Catholic from out of the Catholic Church, they call it Senko, trying to bring folks together. So there's just been a lot of movement, a lot going on around. Just really reinforces the point how the affairs of the Congo is not just strictly the Congos, because you have everybody, involved, and it just goes to demonstrate what's at stake, at least for these people. And Camille, it's up to us to remind people that what the most important resource that's at stake are the Congolese people, right? That people are asking what they can do. You could stand by the people. What are the grassroots saying? What are the indigenous leaders saying? What are the collective of miners saying? What are they calling for? Certainly, they're calling for solidarity. They're calling for people to get the narrative right. Don't buy the propaganda coming out of Kigali from Paul Kagame. They're calling for us to put pressure on our governments who are benefiting from the riches of the Congo, on our corporations who are benefiting from the riches of the Congo. And they're calling for us to not normalize, to cease normalizing, right, mm-hmm. what's happening in the Congo. That mm-hmm. means being engaged in a way where we're going to build a critical mass of folks who are going to say, enough is enough. No more rapes, no more wars, no more genocide, no more plunder. Let the Congolese people live in peace. And we're going to put pressure on our leaders, going to put pressure on our musicians, going to put pressure on our entertainers, going to put pressure on our sports team that are covering for the crimes that are being committed against the women and children in the Congo. So there's a lot to do. So go to Free Congo, freecongo.org, and you can see a range of options for you to take action and be a part of this growing global consensus that is saying that we must no longer normalize the suffering of the Congolese people. Vantage point. So, Camille, and we ran over a little bit. Share with us what you got up, what's happening in New York, how people felt after the Congo or the soundtrack in Harlem. What were people coming out of there ready to take action, ready to get involved?
Oh, definitely. We had 2 sold out shows. I mean, like this last one, the second one was definitely sold out. The first one was close, I think. And we had some really good conversations after. The first panel had Lubangi and Tim Hotep and oh no, I'm blanking on the third person's name.
Is that Maya? Was Maya in there or Dr.
Rosemary? No, that was on set. And actually, I think it was just Johan, the director.
Okay.
Yes, it was the 3 of them. And then on Sunday, and that conversation focused on the history of music and how music plays a role in, how jazz specifically, because like Louis Armstrong was playing came to Congo twice and then played right around the time where Lumumba was being imprisoned right next door, or like not too far from where he was. And he, it was yet again a distraction tool. And he was having, I think, dinner with a CIA undercover agent. Know that he was an undercover agent. And it was also interesting. It speaks again to the schizophrenia of it all, whereas Louis Armstrong is in Congo dining with the head of the CIA at this hotel, but if that would happen, but that wouldn't have been able to happen in the US, because of
right.
So
the contradictions are rife.
Yeah, the contradiction of it all. Whereas you're out there supposed to spread democracy, but then you go back and you yourself are not free. It's the whole the African Americans fighting in the wars. It's just unfortunately the dark history of colonialism. And yesterday's conversation was very riveting. It was with Dr. Rosemary Neely, who is a long-term Black Panther in New York and also does a lot of activism with Cuba. And Malia Mungu, who is an amazing Congolese artist, filmmaker, and Johan, again, the director. So that conversation was a lot. We talked about the history. We talked about how do we move forward? And what was very beautiful for me is that we had a wide age range of people there. They were grandmas who came to me after talking about how they want to be engaged. And we also
grandma's ready to take action, eh?
Grandma's ready to take action.
All right, that's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah, grandma also, as I was moderating, was like, "You're talking too much."
Oh.
That was really fun. I mean, in the way that older people.
Oh my goodness!
She's like, "It's 9 o'clock." It wasn't. It was 7. But she's like, "You've been working for so long."
It felt 9 o'clock too. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and then after the talk, she was like, "Yeah, I'm ready to be to participate. What is it that we can do?" So I think
so. Whatever you said must have inspired her. So it couldn't have been too much. It was right amount. Right?
Yeah, I think we had. I mean, Malia Mungu spoke about her personal experience. She spoke about the piece that she wrote, soundtrack to a complicit silence, which speaks about the silence of the West. So it's I think
that was published in The Nation magazine.
Yes, it was published in The Nation.
Beautiful piece. Yeah.
pull it up.
No. Well, you were talking about grandmas.
Oh.
A number of years ago, Camille, we had this grandma out of Tennessee, and there was an American company that's deep in the Congo and plundering the Congo, and she would write. I mean, she would get organized people to write letters. She was just writing letters to the company, to the investors, writing letters to members of Congress. I mean, there's space for the grandmas to really, put it on.
No, there's definitely, and then they know how to organize, it's like they have community that's deep. It's like they know how to spread the word. They there's a lot for them to
grandmas
do.
for the Congo, grandmas for free Congo.
Yeah.
So all right,
that was good.
So let's we'll probably be back this week. We didn't cover everything, but we definitely wanted to jump on today and give folks an update, try and put some context to what all the bevy of news that's coming out. So thank you all for joining us. We'll be back. And Free Congo, freecongo.org. Join the movement. Get involved. Let's do it. Thanks, Camille.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. We'll talk. Peace.